If you hope to be highly self-disciplined and have strong execution in the latter half of your life, I suggest you watch this video in full. I have witnessed many failures. They lacked self-discipline or desperately wanted to become very self-disciplined and to have strong execution ability, but they could never achieve it. So they repeatedly tried to be self-disciplined, only to fail again and again. Over time, they became like lost boats drifting on the sea, not knowing where to go. Some of them could self-discipline for 2 or 3 days, longer ones could persist for a week, a month, but eventually most gave up halfway. The old saying goes, 3 days of fishing, 2 days of drying the net. Each time when they failed at self-discipline, the root cause was the same: they could not maintain self-discipline for long to do difficult but right things. Their self-discipline was limited to simple tasks, like washing their face and brushing teeth, combing their hair and so on. Perhaps by reading some motivational quotes, they could self-discipline for a period. But tasks like doing math problems, reciting books, long hours of preparation for a very difficult professional course, in these aspects they all struggled in the same way, losing passion after the first 3 minutes. After failing at self-discipline, some of them would constantly deny, reject, and scold themselves. The helplessness and powerlessness they felt towards reality brought constant disappointment in themselves. More seriously for some, this led to mental exhaustion or even depression. Let me make it clear, your failure at self-discipline is your failure at life. For those media who exploit such information, this is not traffic bait but money-making material. Those losers who failed at self-discipline would search online for ways out. And some overly passionate motivational quotes would make them feel as if they have found the truth of life. For example, self-discipline should not rely on forcing yourself through willpower. Self-discipline is an emotional issue. As long as your emotions are handled well, you can say goodbye to lack of self-discipline and procrastination. Self-discipline is when higher-level desires conquer lower-level desires. Behind all cruel persistence is a very strong desire. In fact, these are all garbage and not truths of life. All these garbage point to one thing: when you cannot do one thing, you just need to slack off and you will be able to do it. Think about it, do you really agree that the harder it is, the easier it becomes? Does self-discipline really not require willpower? Can you really achieve self-discipline simply by having stronger desires? Can you really become self-disciplined just by making the process rewarding and providing feedback? None of these have touched the root or essence of the matter. Otherwise, why do so many people still fail to achieve it after listening to so many self-discipline philosophies? These are like ineffectual ointments that cannot solve the problem, but can temporarily relieve anxiety, like an opium pill that gives you a temporary high. When you perform poorly in academics, we attack the education system for not allowing your full potential. The real way for you to learn, we say, is not to study at all, but to self-learn whatever you like. This way the problem can be solved, we claim. When you lack self-discipline, we say you can just relax and indulge yourself every day, cater to your emotions and do what you like. This is like a potent spell. But if you simply go do those difficult, exhausting and right things, you will discover the root cause of your previous self-discipline failures is still the same. For example, I said doing lots of math problems and recitation, learning highly difficult knowledge, preparing for a challenging exam like the Chartered Financial Analyst certification, you will find it very hard to persist for even a few days. You can't take it, it's too painful, you want to give up. In summary, you are stuck in a vicious cycle, repeatedly attempting self-discipline and ultimately failing, then turning to these potent spells but still unable to succeed. Today I watched a video of a Chinese migrant worker learning English that deeply moved me. He explained the truth of self-discipline very well.
I am a boat worker. I know English may not be useful. Why? Why do I learn English? This is because I like it. No, on the contrary, I hate English very much. So I want to do something I hate well. Learning is extremely boring and painful. process. I just wanted to get used to this process because I know if a person wants to make progress, he must learn so early. If I learn the early process, I believe when I learn other things, it will become easy. If conditions permit, I also want to learn calligraphy and painting, learn piano.
The reason we get hurt is that we believe in things that do not exist. Then we eventually discover we have been fooled, like getting beaten up badly. The reason you cannot self-discipline for long or learn real methods for self-discipline is that the knowledge and information you acquire is contrary to the truth of self-discipline. In the video, the guy mentioned that learning English was an extremely dull and painful process. We can understand it like this: he did not like English, but he persevered and overcame his fate, mastering a skill. Let me talk about myself. I like writing. But even when I started working as a writer, I still felt pain. Some may ask, you are doing your dream job that you like, why are you still in pain? That is because many losers are particularly caught up with the words pain and not pain. The fact is that it was painful. As an independent creator, revising one article 10 times is not painful? Revising a book 10 times is not painful? When you write a book, do you really persist based on the desire for it to become a bestseller and sell tens of millions of copies? No. You have to grind through the pain of revising one sentence 10 times. Note I used the word grind. No doubt about it. You may say I persisted for 3 days. I was still excited and loved writing then. I enjoyed collecting materials. But after 10 days, 100 days, 1,000 days, it will not be the same. Does that mean the entire process of persevering must be painful? Of course not. You will have moments of accomplishment and joy from time to time. For example, wow, today I came up with such a good sentence, it's so beautiful. In other words, 80% is painful, 20% is joyful. For that 20% of joy, you endure 80% of pain. It could even be 90% or 99% sometimes. This is the truth. Those who can self-discipline for the long term see the world completely differently compared to ordinary people. In the past, I always thought I needed success philosophies. Later I realized I needed failure philosophies. If you constantly view failure as improving your capabilities, your life will have unlimited potential. You don't need success philosophies. What you need is failure philosophies. Because the essence of failure is that through the attempt, you discovered mismatches between your cognition and practice, which adds to your resources for eventual success. I launched countless attacks on self-discipline. Why? Because I felt my life was too much of a failure. I could not bear such a failed life, and the repeated failures and being looked down upon, attacked. Every day I had to listen to my parents telling me to stomp me to death, grind my corpse into the ground, that I was a useless trash and good for nothing. I had not done one proper thing in my life. I was in an extremely terrible family environment. I could never gain approval. I kept saying I scored 116 out of 120 in math, but my parents would never compliment me. Once my aunt saw my junior high exam results, except for politics, they were almost all close to full marks. My aunt thought I was great, but my parents never complimented me for good grades. As a result, later I completely lost interest in studying. Because I deeply hated and resented my failed life, I desperately wanted to find a magical method to achieve self-discipline without pain. Because I felt I was the only magnificent existence in the universe. Why was my life so insignificant and painful? I felt tremendous helplessness. But no matter how many books or websites I looked through, I could not find that magical pain-free self-discipline method. Until I became depressed. While hospitalized for depression, there was a leukemia patient temporarily transferred to my room. The doctor told me that of 365 days a year, he spent 350 lying in bed. He could only wait for death. His parents' money could only prolong his life. In other words, his condition was irreversible. This leukemia patient made me realize that much of the pain in life is unavoidable. Once you hold the unrealistic expectation of painless self-discipline and painless success in anything, it becomes unrealistic. The more you want to achieve, the more you have to properly take care of those annoying and trifling matters in life. Why do you repeatedly fail after launching attacks on self-discipline? The fundamental problem is that you want to avoid long-term the things that cause you pain. How could you obtain something just with comfort and joy as the price? So I really realized, I understood, and started on the path. From that day onward, I persevered in writing every day for 5 years. Every day I wrote 5 sentences and recited 5 sentences. In 5 years I only interrupted it for 4 days. Those 4 days were because I had such high fever I couldn't get out of bed. Otherwise, I would certainly do it. You can see this almost insane, crazy level of persistence as my struggle against fate and against self-discipline. Until I practiced writing to the level of best-selling author and writer. Some people mocked me, how can you call writing and reciting 5 sentences a day an example of strong execution? I feel writing and reciting 5 sentences daily is indeed not difficult, and cannot be called self-discipline. But doing this relentlessly for 5 years, unless I was sick or the earth exploded, I would keep doing it. I think the difficult part is this persistence. And each week I had to write a 3,000-word article on a fixed schedule. It wasn't just 5 sentences. There was a requirement each week for a long piece. But I figured, no need to explain all this to the guy attacking me online to gain a sense of superiority. I just directly blocked him. After becoming a best-selling author with sales in the millions, I did another thing, running 5 to 10 kilometers every day. Because due to long-term lack of exercise, poor fitness, various stomach issues and illnesses like pharyngitis. In 2 years, I have already run 3,200 kilometers. The highest truth of self-discipline lies in the countless trivial and unpleasant things in daily life that shape you over time. When a person has the capacity to apply his mental strength and execution ability to achieve A, he can achieve B the same way. Let me give an example. I can run 5 to 10 kilometers daily and persist for 2 years to complete 3,200 kilometers. I could likewise recite 2 volumes of new concept English each day and complete the entire series, becoming an top expert in English. It is totally achievable by applying the same approach. In other words, after going through an extremely cruel process to achieve A, you can transfer that skill set to B, it is equally applicable. And you will find the essence of both is large amounts of overcoming difficulties. So whether a person can self-discipline comes down to mental strength. What is mental strength? It is the ability to overcome difficulties, the ability to persist in overcoming difficulties. You have to deliberately train this capacity. And the most important thing is to ignore your emotions. A root cause of failing to self-discipline is caring too much about your emotions. If you feel a little uncomfortable emotionally, you quit. If there is something that makes you feel emotionally comfortable, you don't do those emotionally uncomfortable but correct things. So I tell you, the most difficult part of self-discipline for most ordinary people and losers is that they care too much about their emotions. They are too sentimental. Remember the password I'm telling you, follow this password and you will certainly stand out and succeed. How did I conquer self-discipline? By ignoring my emotions. Every day I would do one thing for at least 1 hour, persistently over 5 years, 7 years, running 3,200 kilometers over 2 to 3 years. From another angle, what if I wrote books or made videos 4 hours every day? And you may wonder, how can I go 4 hours without looking at my phone when I used to hug my phone even when going to the bathroom, eating meals, lying on the sofa, watching TV, going out on dates with my girlfriend? Sometimes my girlfriend scolded me, who are you dating, me or your phone? She even wanted to break up. That was the first 2 years when I got scolded the most. Why can I now work 8 hours straight without touching my phone? I'm not saying playing with your phone is wrong. Just think about it, a person who can run 5 kilometers every day for 2 years until he becomes insane about it, do you think sitting there recording videos for 4 hours would be very difficult for him? Not that difficult at all, truly. So you need to make yourself insane through immense effort. When judging what to do, you use standards of high value, correctness, not catering to instinctive emotions. You separate these very clearly, what should be done versus what should not be done. Do what should be done. Put off what should not be done or what you desire to do for comfort, as a reward. And always remember these 4 words: ignore your emotions. Once you start to see your emotions as the priority, it's over, baby. You'll do it one day and stop the next, because emotions are extremely unstable. If you constantly rely on emotions to act, you will end up in countless situations that I described, repeatedly attacking self-discipline, failing, then repeatedly reading motivational fluff online, repeatedly blaming yourself. Okay, that's it for today. If you like this video, I will have a methodology method.